So, the Famicom Disk System is really cool. It allows you to play NES games off of floppy disks. You know what? Zelda 2 is different enough to make it worth it. But how to do it in the United States is always a point of just confusion for a lot of people. Now, most people will just like bear the pain in the ass of using a original Famicom and just deal with it. But there are a lot of better methods, and I just like to go over a couple of them. So first and foremost, let's be clear. You can play Famicom Disk System with a Famicom. There's no problem there. You can do it. I'm not going to judge you. You play your games the way you want to do it. I personally find it to be the worst possible way to do it for a variety of reasons. For one, you got to have a TV that hooks up to a Famicom. Good luck finding one. And for two, the Famicom's wires are unbelievably short, ridiculously short, to the point where I can't believe that they released it in this state. Like, it is just, it's like 1.5 feet. If you want to use a console like that because it's a cute novelty, that's fine. But you have to also have the console hooked up to this extremely complex, well, not as far as disk drives go, but relative to the Famicom, complex device that is very sensitive to dust. So if you're going to have this like on your living room floor or something, or like on a table, I don't recommend doing that. And you got to remember, the RAM adapter cable itself is very, very short. I mean, it only goes a couple inches, and isn't really something you want to kink anyway, because I actually, when I got this Famicom RAM adapter, the cable was messed up and I had to repair it because somebody had kinked it up. But anyhow, that's the first way to do it. Just use a Famicom, tune your TV to channel 97, and bear with the fact that the controller is only a foot long. You could use a AV Famicom, which is an excellent choice. It actually is, of all the NES consoles, the one with the best AV output. And it's very, 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 very good at playing NES games. You just do the same thing. You hook it up, plug it in, bam, there it is. There's your Famicom Disk System in the United States. No terrible RF output at channel 96 or 7 or whatever it is. Controllers that actually plug into the console. It's great. However, if you're still like a fan of Nintendo Entertainment System games and you want to play NES on those consoles, they don't fit. You have to get an adapter. Let me show you. So, where's my adapter? Uh-oh. Well, just take my word for it. There's an adapter you need. And when you get that adapter, you're going to have your games stick out like this high. It's not, here's the adapter right here. So check this out. Bam. Is that something you want? I don't. So there's a couple caveats there. Not to mention the fact that if you want to use this adapter with an EverDrive, you gotta mod it. So I'll put a video out about that later. But yeah, you gotta mod it to properly use it with an EverDrive so that every game functions. So for me, as much as I like the AV Famicom, this is not the way I'm going to do it. Now, I mentioned EverDrive. Why don't I just take an EverDrive and place it into my NES? Boom. Problem solved, right? No, because there are a lot of games that are completely incompatible, for one thing. And second, as far as the audio expansion goes, it's not as good. Even if you don't do side-by-side comparisons, you can kind of tell if you know the game fairly well. Like Biomiracle Bakute Upa, specifically, I can tell the difference. So, using an EverDrive is not the way to go. Now, there are some downsides to using a NES specifically, but before we go into that, let's talk about the top loader. bam, you could use a top loader to play Famicom Disk System if you wanted to, and it would work. However, it looks like it went to school and graduated, and you have to do an audio mod, and if you want to actually use the thing and have it look good, you have to do a video output mod. Of course, that's not really the fault of the Famicom Disk System. I think personally that this is the worst version of the NES until you get that output done. So that brings us again to our final point, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Can you use a Famicom Disk System with this thing? You can't really, I mean, except you can. This is a Honeybee family adapter. And the biggest con with this is that, one, the NES needs to be modded for expansion audio. Two, this needs to be modded to route the expansion audio. And three, I mean, all the modding you have to do still pales in comparison to the modding you'd have to do with a, for example, NES top loader. But at the end of the day, it's still, you know, kind of incredibly esoteric, really, but it functions. So, I mean, personally, the best way to do it would be to use an AV Famicom. If I decide that I want to play a lot of Famicom Disk System, for example, I will use a AV Famicom. But if I'm just dicking around in Zelda, I'll use this method. It's fine. It functions perfectly. And you don't even have to use the disk system. You could use this drive emulator. I believe this is called a Famicom Disk Stick. And that's, again, the best way to do it. Just don't use one of these at all. And emulate the drive and get yourself a RAM adapter. But yeah, those are the 4 ways to use... Wait a second. There's one more way. That I'm aware of. You could use an AVS. Let me turn this off and demonstrate this. Now, the AVS is not my favorite way to play NES because I still have a CRT. But you can use this and it plugs in and functions fine. So if you have an AVS, you can play a Famicom Disk System with it and it works perfectly. I don't know how it handles the expansion audio because I have barely used this console. But yeah, so those are all the ways that you can play Famicom Disk System in the United States. Whether or not you want to use a Famicom or an NES or a top loader, every single one of them is compatible. You just have to have the right adapter and the right mods. So thank you for watching.